Arg! The voice of the woman and children veered along the darkest area of the Moonchaser pack. And that voices turned into a horrible one. There were body parts that almost tore into pieces that scattered all around the ground. The blood bathed the dry ground and the ambience became horrible. The shivering ease made the crowd to have difficulty in escaping from the deadly threat of their life. All of them were seeking for the goodness of the goddess, but that failed every time the beast smashed their head. They used their wolves, but their strength were unable to defeat the strength of the modified rouges. They were all strong, and even two normal wolves fight them, they could easily kill them without difficulty. Kill them. The voice commanded the soldiers, and they lined to block the beast and rouges toward the pack house. They yelped and their growl made the entire tyranny to shiver. But Alejandro kept in his faith that Severus and Hirre's help would come not too long at that moment. He was standing at the very back of the line. He did not let his guard down, and he ensured that even he did not have any wolf, he could defeat the enemies by his natural power. Alpha, why are you still here? You should go and find place to secure yourself. Gamma Marcus asked as he saw his Alpha lining behind them. Because this is my responsibility. I will never let my people to fight while I hiding inside my den. Life or death, I will fight. Alejandro bravely replied, and Marcus looked at his Alpha with praise. We are lucky to have Alpha like you. Don't worry, I will pledge my life to our people by the honor of your name. Marcus stated, and it was added by Beta Adamus, who was listening to their conversation. Me too, Alpha Alejandro. I honor to be your chosen Beta. And like what Marcus said, I will pledge my life to this battle to honor you. Adamus politely spoke, and it made Alejandro to smile briefly. Thank you, and this battle will be in our hand. Alejandro added, and the two nodded their head. Arg! Grr! The yelp of the rouges heard again, and the sound of their sharp teeth made the night more intense. They darted on the ground, jumping high as they could reach the midst of the heaven and earth to kill their opponents. Marcus and Adamus used their full strength to defeat the enemies. But even they tried their best, the rouges were strong enough that they could not kill easily. Their massive body were filled with bruises and deep wound, but thanks to their fast regeneration, because their wounds healed faster as their thought. Many of the Moonchaser pack assassin were killed, but just few of the beast and rouges were slayed. It was become their problem since their numbers were decreasing. Fuck. We need to not let our guard down. Make sure to fight with all of our strength. Alejandro mind-linked his people, and he received nothing but an agreement. While the Moonchaser was in the midst of the battle, Hirre and Severus were arriving soon. They have their men, and all of them were eager to kill the rouges and to find Trainer's Dean. King. The assassins are all ready. All of them are tracking the way through tyranny. Beta Leo uttered as he rode in the battle car with Hillary and the king. Leo, make sure that our team will all ready. Make sure that you brought the antidote that I make. Severus ordered his Beta. Don't worry. I already brought it. It is in the safe box. Beta Leo replied, and Severus ordered his men to go to the Moonchaser pack. And while they were in there halfway to the Tyranny pack, Hirre felt uneasy. She was in her deep thought, and it was not escape at Severus' eyesight. She kept on being silent, looking at the darkness in the outside. Hirre? What's wrong? Severus asked, and Hirre suddenly averted her gaze away from the window, and she looked at Severus. Hat? She replied, and Severus felt the uneasiness of Hirre toward everything. I asked, what is wrong with you? I can see your eyes, the things that I don't want to see. What's the problem? Severus asked, and Hirre took a glance again at the outside. Alejandro. Hirre replied, and she tilted her head down. I am worried to him and his pack. Trainer power is not a piece of shit for us, and it really become pain in the ass. For Alejandro, without Wolf is very dangerous. He is a good guy to me and he have a great part to my existence. And I don't want to see him dying without anything to do. I cannot bear the time that it will happen. Hirre replied, and there was a glimpse of jealous that Severus felt as he heard Hirre. Alejandro is a tough guy. You don't have to worry. Severus replied seriously. Yes, he do. But we both know how trainer power can do. He is merciless and able to kill by the name of his desire. Hirre averted her gaze away from the outside and she looked at Severus. I know. But Alejandro don't have any wolf. And he will face difficulty fighting the enemies. Hirre replied, and Severus took a side as he replied. So what is your plan? Hirre tilted her head down again and shook her head. I don't know. She said, lowering her voice. TCH. Don't worry about that Hirre. Goddess will be there to protect them from trainer. Severus stated as he tapped Hirre's hand, which were clasped together. Even the devil knows God, Sev. It mean that even trainer know what will happen next, so I think there is a big chances that he have a plan that may be executed. Hirre stated, and it gives Severus a knit on his eyebrows. You are right. The smallest pack are recovering themselves for the damage that trainer bring to them. While the bigger packs is now attacked by them one by one. We are all empty-minded for the next target, so we all need to hurry. Severus added, and Hirre stopped her line of thought. Sev. What if our pack is the next target of trainer? They are all unguarded since our troop are gathered to go to the same location. Hirre uttered, and Severus get what Hirre wanted to say. Stop the car, Severus shouted, and Leo suddenly hit the brake. Why? Leo asked, and the entire troop stopped. Order our armies to stay in half of the numbers and go back to the pack, Severus shouted as he ordered his Gamma and Beta to choose the strongest group to continue going to the Moonchaser pack. King, are you going to the tyranny with us? Elias asked. Yes, I do. I just want to left some of our strongest men to our pack since we did not know the line of thought of that bastard. Time is our enemy too, and if we failed, the worst battle will begin. Severus stated, and Elias nodded his head. Don't worry, King Severus. Sion is going to the Moonchaser and he is with his Rouges. And Rossi also come to fight the enemies. Elias added, and Severus nodded his head. Thank you for the information. I appreciate their help. I hope that this battle will be end. Severus said, and Hirre agreed with that. Hope it too. Hirre added, and she stay silent while watching the troop going back to the numbers of the fighters and assassins that go with them. Half of them went back home and the other go with the king and Hirre. They separated as they reached the midway to Moonchaser pack. This is the real battle. To die is our privilege and to stay alive is God grace. Severus shuddered, and she saw Hirre sitting silently, still looking at nowhere. Severus back to his seat, inclining his body to the backrest. He closed his eyes and took a deep sigh. The ambience was getting cold between the two of them. After a long way of traveling, Hirre sensed the battle that made her to feel worried. Severus. They are here. Alejandro is in danger. We need to hurry. Hirre spoke in sudden, and it made Severus to feel surprised. He did not see the next situation when Hirre quickly opened the car door to run toward the battlefield. "Shit. Hirre, come back," Severus retorted, but Hirre quickly vanished after running faster to the woods. Arg. Alejandro was attacked by the massive grey wolf. He was helpless as he kept on enduring the pain of having a deep wounds on his back. He was rolled over the ground and he hit the root of the tree as he slammed on it. "Shit," he muttered as he tried to stand again. His knees was shivering but his eyes kept on glaring at his opponent. And seemed like he was played by those bastards when another massive wolf came to slam him to the ground. And even Alejandro had difficulty in moving faster. He tried his best to dodge the upcoming attack from the enemy. He darted to the tree when the wolf was nearly to attack. Thud. The wolf hit the tree and it made a huge crack on it. It was about to fall because of the force that the black wolf used too. When Alejandro saw how the wolf slammed on the tree hardly, he used the chances to kill it. He quickly gathered his strength and jumped from his location to the top of the wolf. He used his grip and twisted the head from its neck. The wild yelp of the wolf was heard before it died. He did not stop what he doing until the bounty blood burst from its body. Spurt. The blood shed his hands and he smelled again the familiar smell of their stingy blood. "What the?" he muttered as he swayed his hands to remove the excess blood. He jumped again from its broad body and he stepped on the neck. The head fell on the ground and he ensured that it was already dead. But, as the moment that he relaxed himself, the grey wolf quickly attacked him from behind. He was dragged heavily to the ground again and his bones seemed like dislocated. Alejandro tried to move from the ground that he was dragged but the grey wolf seemed like did not want him to escape. And he saw how the massive body of the wolf jumped over him and any time, or a second would smash his mere body. And before he was going to smash, he saw the familiar brown wolf running toward them. He did not feel any sense of danger from it but he was sure that it carrying enough strength to slam the enemy with a single stroke. Thud. 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 And like what he thought, the grey wolf was slammed to the ground and it rolled over the dirt and pebbles. But even it was slammed for over 20 meters away from him, the wolf could stand still, seemed like there was nothing happen. Alejandro looked carefully at the wolf and he could not sense the identity of the wolf. He knew that it was not enemy. And the black wolf did not waste its time and quickly jumped to the ground and fight against the wolf. Their growled and snapped were heard and the entire ground was in terror. Alejandro scanned the area and he saw the agony of the battle. He averted his gaze away from the surrounding and he quickly looked at the pack house. He was ensuring the safety of his family there. "Alejandro, you need to take some rest. Your body is unable to fight. Remember that you don't have wolf and if you force yourself, you will die here," Andrasi suddenly shouted and Alejandro quickly saw who was calling him. Alejandro was surprised seeing Andrasi and the pack of wolves. He felt hope seeing them here. "Are you with here?" Alejandro asked as he saw the numbers of wolves approaching the battlefield. "No. We came here first. Anyway, you should take a rest. Look, your body looker pale," Andrasi retorted since she saw how Alejandro's situation was. "Don't mind me, Andrasi. The important for me now is to deal with the enemies," Alejandro said and it made Andrasi to slap her forehead. "What the hell are you trying to achieve? The strength of your pack is with you and if you die, they will lost their hope to win the battle. Remember that trainer is still alive, We should kill him and make him suffer. Andrasi added, and Alejandro was stunned hearing that. Yes. She is right. A voice suddenly behind them, and Andrasi was stunned seeing who was speaking. Yes. She is right. Andrasi looked at the person that talking and he saw Severus coming toward them. Long live to the king. Andrasi immediately bowed her head politely as he saw Severus approaching. And when Alejandro saw what Andrasi did, he also greeted the king. Long live to you, King Severus. He tilted his head down and he let Severus to order him to get up. Alejandro, here is worrying about you. Please help yourself. Unlike us, your body is not regenerating easily. So you should have to take some time to recover. Your wounds are deep and it can affect your body function. Severus replied, and Alejandro was touched after hearing how Hirre worried about him. I know about it, King Severus. But my assassins and hunters are already died in the battle and only few of us remains. The enemies are all skilled and have a strong sense of danger. All of them are hard to kill. Alejandro replied. Severus shook his head and he tapped Alejandro's shoulder. Don't worry. We are here. Just stay in the pack house and we will end this fight for you. He replied, and Alejandro was very touched hearing what the king said. But where is Hirre? Andrasi asked as she realized that Hirre was not there. Yeah. Where is she? Alejandro seconded the motion, and Severus remembered that Hirre suddenly ran away to save Alejandro. That stubborn woman ran toward her and I did not know where she saw. For sure she is one of those wolves that fighting against the enemies. Severus replied, and Alejandro was surprised. Is she the one who helped me recently? But why she is so strong? Alejandro muttered that only himself could hear. He could not imagine the things that he saw recently. And he was stunned when he remembered the color of Hirre's wolf. He was fascinated by the golden brown color and the massive size of Hirre. He smiled secretly as he kept on mesmerizing the appearance of Hirre. King Severus. The beasts are coming. They killed anyone that blocked their way. Alejandro's thought was been distracted by the sudden appearance of Severus's army. Let's hurry. Severus replied, and he ran away toward the battlefield. Andrasi looked at Alejandro and she nodded her head before she followed King Severus. Alejandro wanted to follow them, but he felt dizzy since he lost lot of bloods in the battle between the modified Rouges. Arg! I felt worthless again. He muttered as he thought how bastard he was for not having a wolf and a strength to kill many of the modified enemies. He walked toward the building next to the huge tree so he could take a rest while healing himself. His wound was too deep and it could shake in his knees as he felt the pain that scattered around his body. And when he was about to incline on the wall, he felt the numbness of his arms. Even his feet were shaking uncontrollably. What happened to me? Why I can't move my body? He muttered as he saw how he become paralyzed. He pinched his skin and he noticed that his entire body was numb. He took his phone inside his pocket, but he felt disappointed as he saw his phone was destroyed and have a large crack on its screen. What the? He felt anger for the misfortune. He needs help, but even his phone blocked his fate. He shook his head and clenched it tightly. The way its fragments escaped to his hand. Thud. He threw it away and it turned into pieces. After a moment of pause, his body was been unable to move. Only his head could turn, but his entire body was been paralyzed. He thought that it was because he was no longer a werewolf since his wolf was gone. He closed his eyes and prayed for his life. And when he was about to lost hope, he suddenly heard the heavy footstep coming toward him. And even he have a blurry vision, he could easily distinguish the one who coming toward him. Even if this is my end, thank you for letting me see the sunlight again, he muttered, and he closed his eyes and the cold breeze embraced his body. You jerk. What do you think of me, huh? Hirre retorted as she used her witchcraft to lost the chance of her opponent to win. She did not use Harsha to fight since she believed in herself that she able to win with her witchcraft. Thud. The rouges rolled on the ground, its body twisted as he felt the overbearing power coming from Hirre. 3 modified wolves were laid on the ground, they were shaken uncontrollably. Hirre took a deep breath, as she saw how the modified wolves lost their life from her power. Their eyes glaring at her, but she did not put much care on it. All she wanted was to kill more to help Alejandro. Sniff. Suddenly, she smelled the familiar scent of Sion. She smiled as she saw how Sion fighting against the modified wolves with his trained rouges. She never expected that Sion, who was their enemy before, was now helping Tyranny Pack with all of his forces. Row. The growl of the wolves were heard again, and Hirre saw how the pack of modified rouges coming toward her. They were with a large beast. What the? Are they going to attack me with their numbers? She muttered as she asked herself. She shook her head and decided to form as her wolf again. Harsha. I think we need to collab. These bastards are not ordinary. We need to become alert. Their body build is not same as the enemies that we encountered before. Hirre spoke within her. I sense their strength and it can tear us apart if we are not become alert. Harsha replied, and Hirre nodded her head. And when they agreed to one desire, Hirre used her wolf, and after a moment of pause, her golden brown wolf came. She was become the center of attraction since she have that color, matched with the 3 white lines on her back. Her eyes were burning like a sun in the midst of lunar eclipse. Her heavy and massive body was a metal to compare. She jumped over the rocks and counterattacked the wolf that first come toward her. She readied her sharp and pointed furs, and her fangs were seen. They hit each other in the midst of the air, and their body bounced like a ball that hit that wall. Hirre immediately stood up after she landed the ground. And like what she did, the modified grey wolf was also standing firmly. Hirre did not waste her time and quickly ran toward the grey wolf. She tried to hit the weak point, which was the chest where the heart was located, and she successfully made it when she used her weight to push the wolf away from her and to hit the most critical part of the enemy. Arg! The yelp of the wolf heard, and it caught the attention of the other 4 who were busy feasting the flesh of one of the Moon Chaser's pack army. They hear. She muttered, and she immediately leave her location to welcome the attack of the intruders. She looked at the path where the 4 would go through. And she saw an old tree which have a big trunk and branches. Cool. She added, and she used her magic to break the root of the tree and made it fell to the path of the wolves. Thud. The tree quickly fell, and 2 of the wolves were stuck in the middle when the big trunk hit their body. The 2 wolves could not move, and unfortunately, when the beast came, it stepped the tree and it caused early death to the other 2 who were stuck. Spurt. Their blood burst, but the beast seemed like did not recognize who was their ally because it did not put much care about the 2 that he stepped on. This is very wrong, Hirre said to herself, seeing how cold-hearted was the beast. For sure, it is merciless. I need to become stronger facing this monster. Or else it will tear me apart. She added, and she readied herself when she saw the beast coming toward her. She sharpened her fur and senses. She did not let her guard down as the moment that the beast was nearly to come over her, panned, 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 here running faster as she could. She did not let the time flies for her. She kept on running and gathered day of her forces to have a counter-attack at the beast. Her eyes were furiously looking at the beast. She was eager to kill this one since there was many beasts left around who were still killing the allies of Severus and Alejandro. Their heavy footsteps were heard and Hirre immediately made a small portal to sway the attention of the beast. She entered on the portal and exited to the other one. She used the portal to reach the beast without noticing her. She locked her sense so the beast would not smell her from the closer distance. The tail of the beast faced her as she exited the portal and it was a perfect timing to her to kill this one. She jumped from the portal and she dashed forward the back of the beast who was stunned for her sudden vanished and appearance. The beast yelped violently as it felt the sharp and pointed fangs of Hirre piercing deeply into his neck. Hirre did not stop until her pointed furs pierced too into the beast's body. Hirre felt strange since the muscle of the beast were hard. But she did not stop until the loud yelp echoed around. She wagged her head while her fangs were still on the neck of her enemy. She tastes the blood of the beast and she senses the drugs within it. And when the beast started to feel the pain, it rolled on the ground. But even Hirre was on the bottom of the beast. She did not lost her control and use her strength to go to the top. The blood of the beast was drip from her body and it made her to feel uncomfortable as she smelled the stinginess of the blood. Arg! The loud cry of the beast started to echoed and it caught the attention of some pushover enemies. They went to the direction where Hirre was. They looked like a bunch of zombies approaching their prey. Shit. They are so many. She muttered and she kept herself ready for the new attack that she might receive. And like what she thought, the modified Rouges attacked her one by one. They were all heaven eagerness to kill Hirre at that moment. But before they reached the closer distance, the group of massive ash-grey wolves blocked the path of the enemies. Hirre knitted her eyebrows violently as she saw the wolves blocking the way. Miss Hillary. Let us face the enemies. Alpha Alejandro needed you right now. He is in the critical situation. Sion suddenly spoke running toward her. What? Hirre was been surprised. She realized that Alejandro was bathing in blood when she helped him killing the modified grey wolf recently. I saw him laying unconscious. And yet, he is still there because Severus and Andrasi's troop are now in the midst of the battle. Sion added and Hirre could not spoke. She immediately ran away where she sensed Alejandro. She was in her nonchalant expression while searching for Alejandro and when she saw who she looking for, she immediately transformed as her true self and walked faster toward Alejandro. Alejandro, she shouted and she quickly looked for Alejandro's vital sign. What's now? Sion asked as he followed Hirre. We need to bring him in the Pack hospital as soon as possible. Hirre replied with a glimpse of worried in the tone of his voice. Why? Sion asked as he approached at the body of Alejandro. Hirre looked at him with a serious face. Alejandro is in danger. If we did not remove the poison in his body, he will die. Hirre replied lowering her voice. But, it is just a wound. And he can regenerate it easily, so how it can cause death to him? Sion asked wondering. Because he is no longer a werewolf. His wolf is gone and if we did not remove the poison, he will suffer the deadly one. Hirre stated and Sion was stunned hearing that. Don't worry, I will send him in the Pack hospital. Sion immediately removed Alejandro's body and brought it to the next building. Hirre scanned the area, and when they ensured the safety, they continued walking toward the hospital to put first aid at Alejandro. The chaos was still, but the cry of the crowd that Mercy killed by the beast was going to vanish. The entire Tyranny Pack was ruined and majority of its people become obese and some were killed. Only those escapee early and stayed at the pack house were saved. Moreover, their alpha was in danger. What had happened to Alejandro? Alejandro's mother could not speak well seeing her son in the critical situation, and even she was little felt shame after seeing Hirre helping their pack. She still stayed to see what happened to her son. Even Gregory stayed too. I am so sorry to say, but he need to be cured as soon as possible. The poison coming from the blood of the beast that he used to fight was scattered faster as I thought, Hirre stated, lowering her voice. What? Pea poison? Alejandro's sister asked surprisingly. Yes. And if it reach his heart, he will die. Sion added since Hirre could not bear the moment that she would tell bad news to the pervious alpha of the moon chaser. What? Alejandro's mother widened her eyes, after hearing the news. She was nearly to lost control and lost conscious, but Gregory calmed her. Hirre, please cure him. Gregory begged Hirre to have mercy with Alejandro. Don't worry. I will do my best. Hirre replied before she ordered Sion to bring Alejandro at the safest place. After Sion brought Alejandro, Hirre checked Alejandro's vital sign and she noticed the weak beating of his heart. Shit. I need to hurry. She muttered and she pumped Alejandro's chest to normalize the flow of oxygen to his lungs. Alejandro. Please hold on. Hirre muttered while she kept on pumping Alejandro's chest. Sion. Please bring me the oxygen. Hirre ordered and Sion quickly took the oxygen tank and set up it hurriedly since they were running out of time. Hirre tore up the curtain and she put gauze on the wound of Alejandro. But every time she tried to cure Alejandro, the more she made something in her mind. Hirre. The beasts are still approaching the area. Almost 100 of Moon Chaser's pack are turned into beast and I think we are losing our hope. Sion suddenly spoke and it made Hirre to slap her forehead. You may go, Sion. I will stay here and you can go fighting with them. Hirre replied and Sion ran away from the pack hospital and he left Hirre with unconscious Alejandro. The entire pack was in the terrifying states and the gross blood scattered on the ground, making halfway in the terror nightmare. The death scattered and it made the surrounding to become a horrifying. Alejandro. I know you can hear me right now. Please be strong enough. The poison is still running in your bloodstream and I could not remove it if your wound is still open. You should fasten your regeneration so you can heal yourself faster. Hirre said while she caressed Alejandro's face. Hirre. What happened? Severus' voice suddenly heard and it caused her to turn around. Severus. Alejandro is in the bad condition. And if he did not heal his wound faster, the poison will continue traveling into his veins and may even reach his heart. Hirre grunted seeing the glimpse of worries in her eyes. So what should we do? Alejandro could not heal himself because he was unconscious. And we both know that. He don't have any wolf. Severus replied and Hirre titled her head down. She sat on the chair and she took deep sigh. We cannot let him dying. His pack needs him. Hirre prompted and Severus knitted his eyebrows hearing those words coming from Hirre. So what we need to do? He grunted and Hirre looked at him meaningfully. There's a way how to help him bring back his strength and his regeneration ability. Hirre seriously added, and Severus looked at him suspiciously. Don't tell me you will summon his wolf, Severus said, and Hirre nodded his head in agreement. Yes, you are right. I will summon his wolf if it is the best way to help him, Hirre stated, and Severus glared at him. No. You will never do that. Your witch ability cannot do that kind of summoning, Severus snarled. I know. But I will do. Trust me. It is for the sake of everyone, Hirre replied, and she stood to start the summoning. Hirre. What if you fail? Severus asked, worrying. At least I try, Hirre replied, and it made Severus to shrug his eyebrows. He wanted Alejandro's safety, but he also worried for Hirre. He knew that summoning wolf was the hardest part for those who merely starting witchcrafter. And he thought that Hirre did not have ability to summon since Hirre trained for almost a week. After a moment of pause, Hirre stood firmly. She closed her eyes and made a deep breath. She stretched her arms wide and she put it on Alejandro's chest. Severus led Hirre to what he wanted, and Severus looked at Hirre. There was glimpse of jealous and worry that mixed together in his heart. He could not resist himself not to feel that kind of feeling since he was Hirre's mate and fiancé. And while the others have a war outside, Severus was staying beside Hirre, who was busy summoning Alejandro's wolf. Time flies, and Hirre suddenly felt the great force that made her to shake for a while. Severus immediately went behind Hirre, so he could easily help his mate if Hirre might fall from her position. Lobonia. Tinatrawagita. Sakanyang katawan e bumalik ka. Lobonia. Tinatrawagita. Sakanyang katawan e bumalik ka. Hirre repeatedly shouted the same words while her head was firmly tilted at the ceiling. Her hands were shaking uncontrollably and there was tiny beads of blood drips from her nose. Her face showed the difficulty in summoning, but she still doing that for Alejandro. Her veins appeared on her neck to her cheeks. Severus was very worried seeing Hirre's condition. He tapped Hirre, but when his fingertips touched Hirre's shoulder, he felt the current flowing on his body. He quickly stepped forward after he felt the energy that flowing on his arm. Why she is so strong? Severus wondering about Hirre's power. He kept his eyes direct to Hirre and he watched the thing that might happen next. Muli. Boomalik ka, Hirre shouted again, and the wind blew boisterously and the curtain tore into two when the glass window broke into fragments. What the? Severus muttered surprisingly as he saw how the glass scattered around. But his amazement was turned into worry when he saw Hirre seemed like losing her balance. He quickly went again behind, but Hirre forced herself to stand. Even her hair was blew away by the wind. Anyon na. Hirre made a last words and the bounty blood drips on her nose. And when the wind blew again, Hirre fell on the floor unconsciousness and the wind stopped blowing violently. Hirre, Severus shouted, and he quickly saved Hirre from bumping her head on the floor. Severus saw the fresh blood from Hirre's nose and it made him to feel uneasy. Shit. Severus snarled as he swept the blood with his bare hand. He brought Hirre to the bed and he laid her. He checked the pulse and he felt that the vital signs were still okay. But Hirre herself was not okay. Severus' face could not paint after he saw what happened. He never thought that this would make him angry instead of enjoy. Arg! He shouted loudly as he could not bear the anger that he felt seeing his woman in that state. Severus carried Hirre's unconscious body and he ran away from the Pack hospital. He wanted to save her for bringing her to Mr. Lionheart. And when he was about to reach the door, he did not notice that Alejandro was starting to heal. His deep wound slowly healing and the tissue in the cell of his body worked well again. The pale skin turned as its normal color and Alejandro's eyes blinked again. His body was totally recovered and even his senses become strong again. Ugh! He suddenly woke up as he felt the energy that entered his body again. He looked around and he saw the fragments of the window that scattered on the floor. He clenched his hands into fist as he felt something strange on his body. What a familiar aura of mine! He muttered and he suddenly stared at nowhere as he remembered something. Gao. My wolf. I feel him. Alejandro excitedly jumped off his bed as he felt his wolf inside him. He went to the broken window and looked at his reflection and he saw his healed wound. His entire appearance was bent back again to normal, even his reflexes and body built. Gao. I can't imagine that you will back again. He spoke with an and excitedly greeted his wolf. Me too. I thought that goddess will send me to eternal death, but I was lucky that I am here with you again. Gao said surprisingly. And while they were talking, Alejandro suddenly sensed Hirre's scent. Hirre is here before, right? I can smell her scent not too far from this place and for sure she is the reason why you come back. Alejandro added while he scanning the area. And when his gaze threw at the corner of the bed, he saw the drips of fresh blood that scattered down to the floor. And he have a strong thought that it came from here. Gao. I need to find her. Alejandro uttered and he ran away from the Pack hospital. And while he was running, he heard the different cries from the battlefield. He did not know where he goes since the direction of Hirre's scent was going to the west while the battle was happening all around. And when he saw the surrounding was filled with dead bodies of wolves. And when he scanned the area he saw the situation of his pack. He felt pity toward his people and a mixed emotion of anger and revenge. He walked firmly and he saw a wild rouges coming toward him. He did not let his guard down and used his new strength to kill this intruder. The fought with the rouge only with his human form. He jumped over the rock and counter-attacked the rouge that wanted to block his way toward the battlefield. Die, you jerk! Alejandro muttered and he quickly twisted the leg of the rouges by pulling it hardly. And when he grabbed it, he immediately jumped and rolled his body in the midst of the air and the bone cracking of his opponent was heard. The yelped and the loud roared made him to feel the eagerness to fight. What the? You pushover jerk! Alejandro angrily shouted when another wolf came to help the other one. He quickly threw the body of the enemy he used to fight and he used it to block the way of the intruder. The two rolled on the ground but the rouge that attacked him. Alejandro smirked as he saw how his capability to fight was back. He steps forward and run in sudden, attacking the same wolf recently. He jumped over its body and used his bare hand to bend the head to its neck. He heard the cracking of the bone and the blood bathed his hand again. He continued running and every time he making a few distance, the wolves attacked him one by one. He did not let them to make even a scar on him because he swayed them in the air like a mere paper. The pack of the rouge wolves kept on waving on his way and he was very happy seeing the dead wolves that laid on the ground every time he killed them. This is for my pack. And for Hillary, he shouted and his steps become faster as he saw another waves of the rouges. Suddenly, he was stunned as he smelled familiar scent coming toward him. He scanned the area and he saw the group of beasts standing on the very boundary of the pack. He knitted his eyebrows seeing the massive beast, and when he looked carefully, he saw a man sitting like he did not care about the deadly battle around him. And even there were still rouges that kept on coming his way. He never moved his eyes away from the distance where he saw the familiar man smoking in the middle of the beast, that firmly looking at the surrounding. He saw how they looked strong and have a great sense of danger. "Gao. Do you even recognize him?" he asked his wolf, but he felt how Gao become timid as he asked that question. "Gao. Tell me, who is he?" Alejandro added as he did not receive any words from his wolf. "Shit. Why, my wolf suddenly looked like a dog curling its tail," he muttered, and he shrugged his shoulder. He continued fighting against the enemies and tried to kill them as fast as he could. And while he was in the middle of the battle between one of the enemies, he saw Andrasi fighting two wolves. He saw how Andrasi become helpless every time the wolves tried to bite her legs. He saw the deep wounds from afar and he knew how painful it was, but Andrasi kept on fighting against the two wolves. And since there was another rouge trying to kill him, he quickly made a quick move and dodged the attack of the wolf. He jumped again and stepped hardly on the top of Rouge's neck, and the nape of the enemy was left broken. After killing one of the enemy, he quickly went to the direction where Andrasi was. His breath was panting while glaring at the enemies that kept on playing with Andrasi. "Take your filthy hands away from her," he growled, and Andrasi felt hope seeing Alejandro's wolf again. "Alpha Alejandro. You're back," Andrasi muttered, and even she felt the pain. She was very happy seeing Alejandro again. "This is not the right time to greet each other, Andrasi. Please. Go and secure yourself. Your wounds need to heal quickly." Alejandro mind-linked Andrasi. After that, Alejandro fought the two rouges and Andrasi took a chance and hid herself. She lost bloods and she felt her heart beating so fast. She took almost 5 minutes before her body fully recovered. And when she felt that she was okay, she ran again to the battlefield where Alejandro and Sion fighting the rouges. And when she was about to run, he suddenly remembered Severus. She was wondering why Severus was not around. "TCH. We're dead," she muttered as she felt the great forces coming. She scanned the area and the rouges stopped fighting. They ran back to the pack of beasts, seemed like Trainer calling them for the retreat. "What the hell is going?" Sion asked, wondering when the 3 rouges that wanted to feast him were walked backward and afterward ran faster back to the man waiting them from afar. "Sion. Is that the Lord of the Decades?" She mind-linked Sion not too far away from her. "Yes. And he planning something. From his action, I think, we need to stay alert. They are not good as we thought. Andrasi. Guard up yourself," Sion warned Andrasi, and even they were in the midst of the battle, Andrasi felt the redness of her cheeks. She really appreciated the warm concern of Sion toward her. Thank you," she was stuttered as she replied. She even wore a sweet smile even she faced the great forces from the east. Her heart kept on beating and she simply shook her head as she felt the warmth of the romantic feeling over. "Don't be stupid. Trainer is not good enemy," Sion replied, and Andrasi swallowed her saliva after she heard how Sion curse her. "TCH. That's my bad," she said while rolling her eyes. And she focused on what she doing recently. She tightened her feet on the dirty dry ground and strengthened her senses. She believes that Trainer was really a demon low-key in terms of killing merciless. And for sure, Anytime there was a big problem that might happen since Severus was not there to help. And only halves of the armies were survived and still fighting for the sake of everyone. After a moment of pause, Andrasi was surprised seeing the enemies with Trainer retreating. Seemed like they just made some fun in the tyranny and then leaving it in the bad states. Where the hell they doing? Alejandro was wondering as he asked himself. He looked at Sion and Andrasi not too far away from him, but they were also clueless on what the real happening. Are we going to chase them? Sion angrily asked Alejandro, but he refused. In our states, we cannot defeat them. We should heal ourselves first before we face them again. This is not our end. We are just starting. Alejandro replied, and the other two was speechless. Ran. Severus ran faster as he could in the woods. Hirre was riding on his back unconscious. He was in his wolf form while he was running furiously. And while he was running, he could not resist himself thinking about Hirre's condition. I hope that Hirre's sacrifice for you is worth it. And the battle at your pack will end soon. He muttered while he kept his eyes on his way. He was running in the middle of the woods, not far away from the main road. He used that path because he sensed Trainer coming at the Tyranny Pack. And he knew that that place would be miserable if he chose to go to Hirre after hearing from Sion that Hirre planned to summon Alejandro's wolf. What the hell is happening in this world? Why I stuck between the two hardest option. If I let them fighting the troop, if the enemies, many may lost their lives and the Tyrann will be lost their hope to stand again because of the destruction that Trainer brought to Alejandro's poetable. But if I stayed there, Hirre may be in danger. He thought while his steps getting wider and wider. His footprints left every time he made another steps. He fastened his steps in order to reach the place of Mr. Lionheart. But when he was about to reach the very end of the woods, he smelled the strong aura coming from the southern part of the wilderness where the road was located. What aura is that? He muttered as he halted his steps. He hid his smell and went behind the old big tree to know where the source of energy coming from. And how amazed he felt when he saw the luxurious cars hurriedly passed by, accompanied by the numbers of trucks that accommodate almost hundreds of people each. And behind those cars, there was a long truck with a jail behind filled with slaves that were all handcuffed. Trainer? What the hell he did to the captives? I need to rescue them. But how? He asked himself, and he felt worried about the victim. Spurt. But while he was thinking about the captives, he was interrupted when he smelled Hirre's blood again. Shit. He suddenly say cursed when he realized that Hirre need the witch doctor for her situation. But at that moment, the cars were still approaching the wide road and Severus could not find the alternative way to cross the nearby forest. What a wrong timing. He snarled as he stamped his feet on the dirty ground, waiting for the last car to pass by. But when he felt that Hirre's body was shaken, he immediately ran fast without hesitation. Fortunately, he passed by without making single noise. Panned. 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 He gasping his breath when he reached the second forest. He ran in the woods and he quickly darted on the ground to jump high. He never let the next step become meaningless. He ran faster and other roadside faced him. He did not feel any sense of danger, and when he was trying to make another steps, he saw a abandoned car banged on the tree. He quickly went to it to know if it was still working. He put Hirre inside and he transformed again as human form. He looked around and he saw how old was the car. It had many decals and for sure it not modern car but an old-fashioned one. But it was not a matter to him after all since he needs to bring Hirre to her pack as soon as possible. "Come on," he uttered as he turned on everything inside. And how happy he was hearing the engine working. He did not waste time and quickly moved from the dark forest to the Tyranny Pack. He fastened his seatbelt and he looked at Hirre in sudden. He felt anger toward himself every time he saw how Hirre suffered from the thing that he did not know. He felt guilt when he thought that Hirre might be in danger. And aside from that, he was thinking about the words that he might received from Hirre's grandpa and uncle once they knew that Hirre was in this kind of situation. After few hours. Brake. He immediately hit the brake when he reached the gate of the Tyranny Pack. All of the armies inside was surprised seeing the king riding in the old-fashioned car which filled with grass and mosses. But they were all stunned as they saw that Hirre was there also, unconscious. They greeted the king but Severus carried Hirre away from the crowd and he ran toward the pack hospital. "King. What's wrong to Hirre?" Lucio saw them running hurriedly. He was worried seeing Hirre in that bad states. "Lucio. Where is Mr. Vermont? I need his help for calling the divine witch doctor," Severus replied, and Lucio was bothered by the king's order. He immediately contacted Mr. Vermont who was worried about the situation of his granddaughter. And when Severus reached the pack hospital, he quickly cleaned the blood that dries on her nose. He set oxygen and give Hirre some injectable medicine for the blood to stop. "Hirre. You can heal yourself, right?" Severus talked with Hirre even he could not get the answer. He looked like crazy talking the unconscious woman. "Severus. What happened to my Hirre? Mr. Vermont came hurriedly with his 2 security guards. "Sorry. But Hirre used his witchcraft to summon a wolf. She lost her control and I don't know the exact reason for this," Severus stated, and Mr. Vermont was very angry hearing that. "What the? Why you let her to do that? Did you know that it may kill her if he did not endure the power that lost in her body?" Mr. Vermont angrily added, and Severus felt that he was sitting on the hit seat hearing that words from Mr. Vermont. "I'm so sorry Mr. Vermont. But Hirre so to do that because Alejandro will die if his wolf is not present," Severus replied, and Mr. Vermont was surprised hearing that from the king. "What? She sacrifice herself for Alejandro? Tch. I need to call the divine witch doctor. Hirre need to heal faster." Lucio jumped from the conversation as he saw how Mr. Vermont shook his head. "Pardon. But Hillary just wanted to help not only Alejandro but the entire Moon Chaser pack. Because once Alejandro died, no one dared to face the enemy without the presence of the Alpha. Hirre choose to summon Gao not just because of Alejandro, but also to the entire Moon Chaser pack," Severus said, and Mr. Vermont took a side. But even that was the mindset of Mr. Vermont. Severus deeply understand that because he thought that the old man just protecting his granddaughter. And after a while, Mr. Lionheart came. He immediately greeted the king and Severus welcomed the witch doctor. "Mr. Lionheart. Please take a look to my granddaughter. I don't know what happened to her. Please, tell us as soon as possible the reason," Mr. Vermont uttered, while there was a glimpse of worry on his eyes. He was standing next to the bed. The witch doctor held Hirre's wrist and he felt the inner power that trembling in her bloodstream. He knitted his eyebrows and he tapped Hirre's neck, wanted to know the oxygen flow of her body. After a moment of pause, Mr. Lionheart looked at everyone who were waiting for his news. King. Mr. Vermont, Hillary's power collapsed due of the two forces that she released for summoning Wolf. As the old witch doctor. The elders of the witches summon a wolves by 3 to 4 of them since they could not make it alone. The witch doctor said, and it creates a thought in Mr. Vermont's mind. Can you tell us what is the cure? I can spend my money for that. Mr. Vermont replied, seemed like he was eager to do that for Hirre's safety. Sorry to say, Mr. Vermont. But I think I say lack information to you. Mr. Lionheart replied, and it made a confusion to Severus and Mr. Vermont. Hirre's condition is deadly. But there is no money that can cure her. Because her body can't handle the rumble of her power. Mr. Lionheart said, and it made Mr. Vermont to get mad. Slam. He slammed the table and the glass cups scattered around the bed. He glared at Mr. Lionheart with tiny beads of tears that about to fall on his eyes. We need to balance her power by producing another successor of those release power. Because if that power keep on running on her body, her blood, even her heart will stop functioning. The witch doctor replied, and Severus widened his eyes after hearing the solution. So what you mean for that, Mr. Vermont asked while he was still glaring at the witch doctor. Hirre needs to have a baby so that her power will be balanced equally. Mr. Vermont said, and the old man was stunned. What the hell is that? Is there any solution rather than making a baby? Mr. Vermont angrily gritted his teeth, and Severus took a deep sigh. He knew that that expression would be happen since Hirre was just 18 years old and his only granddaughter. Sorry, Mr. Vermont, but if we don't do that, she will suffer in the inside and can result for her early death. Mr. Lionheart said, and Mr. Vermont suddenly turned taciturn as he heard the word death. Don't worry, Mr. Vermont. Hirre's mate is the king, and for sure, she will be in the good hand. Mr. Lionheart replied, and Severus took a deep sigh again. He steps closer to Hirre and he held her hand tightly. Mr. Vermont. I, the king, swear to become a good father of Hirre's successor. And no matter what happen, I will be here for her. So you don't have to worry about that. Severus said, and Mr. Vermont nodded his head. So, I will entrust my granddaughter to you. Mr. Vermont said, and Severus swallowed his saliva as he felt it dryness. Yes. You can trust me, Mr. Vermont. Severus replied, and he looked at Mr. Lionheart to get agreement. I know it. Please take care my granddaughter. Mr. Vermont said, and Mr. Lionheart nodded his head. King Severus, you should make it better. To balance it, you should give her the energy that she needed by giving her the sperm cell that's able to catch all the released power in her body. Severus caught what the meaning of that nod, and he let the two to get out from the Pack hospital. And when the two left the room, Severus took the chance to make the best way to heal Hirre. He knew that he would hit the two birds in one stone if he did that. In the Moon Chaser Pack. Alejandro. How your wolf came back? Andrasi asked amazingly as she saw how the wounds of Alejandro healed after a moment of pause. Hirre helped my wolf to enter my body again. But I really don't know why I felt uneasy since I wake up without her but the broken fragments of window. Alejandro lowered his voice. B felt mixed emotion, the feeling of happiness but guilt to what might happen at Hirre. King Severus followed her, and for sure Severus was there when she was in danger. Because like what I remember, summoning wolf is only done by the highest positioned witches. And they are 5 to 4 if they summoning. And for sure, Hirre faced difficulty when he tried to summon your wolf. Andrasi replied. Shit. Why you did not stop her if you know the main effect of that to her? Alejandro retorted, and Andrasi tilted her head down. She did not speak and she let Alejandro to get mad. Tap. Tap. Sion walked closer and he tapped Alejandro's shoulder. Don't touch me. Alejandro moved to dodge the hand of Sion and Sion shook his head. Alejandro. We did not mean to hurt your feeling. And we did not mean to make her suffer from now. All we do is to warn her that possible outcome. We face many beasts and wolves without you after you lost your conscience and nearly to die. But here choose to let us fight to save you. We force her to stay but she refuse. She said that it's better to die saving other life than to fight meaningless. Andrasi said when she saw how Sion reacted to what Alejandro did to him. She is right. Here choose to save you so Yasaf you can stand with your pack. We force her but she always thinking about you. The king may allowed her so how can we refuse? Sion said, and Alejandro turned taciturn. He scanned the area and he saw the dead scattered all around. His peaceful pack was now ruined and there were many people lost after being caught by the enemies. He felt guilt and he let his tears drip from his eyes. He was not afraid to cry, even Andrasi and Sion looking at him. Don't cry, Alejandro. I know it is not so simple like we think. But trust the process. Everything will be alright. Sion said, and he smiled at Alejandro. And when Alejandro cleared his mind he scanned the area and he saw how his man gathered all the people that unable to walk, and those who were already dead. He felt pity toward his pack. And he suddenly realized the impact of the enemies to his beloved pack. Andrasi. Sion. I want your help. I know that lots of our people died and it become our big loss. But if we stand as one we can defeat them. Alejandro bravely uttered, and Andrasi looked at Sion, seemed like she wanted to get what Sion's opinion. Alejandro. Behalf of our people died while trainers' armies are getting bigger and bigger. And for sure, many of us again will die once we faced them again. But I am willing to sacrifice even my last stand will lost. Sion said, and Andrasi was so proud hearing that braveness from Sion. So what's now? Andrasi said, with a smiling facade. We will go to Trainer Dean to know what is their weakness. And if that happen, we will to go to the top of the pyramid. We will get back the people that they may used as an experiment. Alejandro growled and his fearless eyes glared at the east. He thinking about the plan that he wanted to execute. Sorry Alejandro. We cannot defend your pack. But I will promise that I will be with you at your new plan. Andrasi added, and Alejandro kept his eyes at the reddish color of the sky because the sun was bursting slowly. So when we will attack? Sion asked as he sat on the upright root of the big tree. Tomorrow night. At 12 midnight. The second quarter of the full moon will arise and we will execute our plan. We will gather every single man that willing to sacrifice and revenge for their loved ones. Alejandro said, but Sion seemed like have his own plan. Alejandro, what if we tell it to Severus? For sure he will use all of his forces to know the dean of the enemy. And I will trace their location via sensory camera that I place on every corner of the road. Sion said, and it made Andrasi to be proud to what Sion plan. I will check the details later and I will contact you if I get the better sources. Sion added, and Andrasi felt the redness of her cheeks as she heard how good the ideas of Sion about planning. That's good, Sion. Thank you for helping us. Having both of you is my privilege. Alejandro said, and the two smile. Anyway, I have to know the situation of my pack. Alejandro walked away after he spoke and the two left without talking to each other. What are you planning? Andrasi started the conversation between them and Sion looked at her. I willing to sacrifice even the pack I created to kill Trainer. He is the reason why I was rouge and I do looking for him for a long time. He killed my parents and destroy my packs, and now my turn is coming. Sion seriously said while he averted his gaze away from Andrasi and looked at the rising sun. The sun is beautiful, isn't? Andrasi replied while he looked at where Sion looking for. You are more beautiful than that. Sion said while he started to walk with both hands in the pocket. Andrasi felt the palpitation of her heart hearing that. She followed Sion's steps, who was approaching the wounded armies that kept on fighting for their lives. She suddenly remembered about the same scenario when her pack was also ruined by Trainer Troop, and the smile that she wore suddenly turned into anger and disgust toward Trainer. I will kill you too, Trainer. And I will make you suffer like what you did to my family and friends. She muttered, and the tears suddenly drips down her cheeks, and he closed her eyes, wanted to feel a peaceful world for her. Click. Tap. Sion was busy sitting in the front of his computer. He was with his allies that left alive after the battle. He was looking for the sources that he could use to find the exact location of the enemies. And from the 10 secret cameras that he used, nothing among them show the clear location of the enemies. F to the power of CK. He slapped his forehead when he failed again for the 10th times of trying. What the? He added angrily when he noticed that every camera that he placed around the Moonchaser forest. Sion. Sorry to say, but all of the camera that we place on the Moonchaser packs are all hacked. One of Sion's men said, and it made him to clench his hand into fist. He was very mad hearing that bad news from his ally. He slapped his forehead and he tried to calm himself. What about the other camera? He asked while hoping that he would hear a good news. Sorry. But all of our camera are all hacked and there's no files that left. We are been fucked by Trainer hackers, and for sure they are enjoying their bad success. Another man replied, and it really made Sion to clench his hair tightly. Who is the backstabber of our group? Bring him here. Sion retorted, but everyone were just looked at each other. Are you deaf? Tell me who is the traitor. Sion snarled as he added. Pardon. But lots of our men are captured by the troop of Trainer, and maybe one of them tell about the hidden camera in order to live. Another man replied, and Sion remembered that half of them were gone. He turned taciturn and he slammed his forehead to the table. Kring. 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 Sion. Sorry to disturb you, but someone calling at your phone. His ally suddenly came and Sion stopped what he doing. He knitted his eyebrows because he really don't know who have a strength to call him in this moment. Give it to me. He said seriously, and when he answered the phone, how amazement he felt when he heard the familiar voice. No. Not just a familiar, but the voice that he longer missed for. He was speechless while telling to his allies to give him space for a moment. Sion. Why you are not responding? Are you deaf now? Claire's voice echoed inside his ear. He missed that curse from that woman. He missed every single detail of her attitude. His anger turned into something that made his horn to blow away. Why you suddenly call me? I thought you were gone? He asked, lowering his voice. Shit. I don't remember that kind of shit, Claire replied, and even it made Sion to shake his head out of despair. Anyway, where are you? I want to see you, Claire. Sion said, lowering his pride because he really loves Claire. Sigh. I'm not coming back there. I'm happy now. Having great power that in my bare hands. I can show you that I don't need you and even that bitch here. Claire replied, and it made Sion to knit his eyebrows. He wanted to ask Claire, but he have suspicion that the girl he talking have a deep secrets that any time would burst. He thought that he would act like he was still an enemy to get information from Claire. Claire. I need your help, Sion asked as he made up his mind. Like what I thought before. You will ask me that. Keck. Anyway, what is that? Claire asked as she rolled her eyes from the other line. She was really out of his mind that was no longer at her side. Tell me, Claire. I am willing to be with you, Sion said dramatically while he was trying to trace the location of Claire. Sigh. Do you want to have greater power than anyone? I knew someone that can help you. But I'm not allowed to tell it to you since I pledge my life to them for the sake of this overwhelming power, Claire said. Seemed like she challenging Sion to be empty-minded about the things that she have within the troop of trainer. Okay. Are you there in their place? Sion asked, and he set the tracker of the voice. Yeah. Always. Claire said, and Sion smirked as he heard that, but he still acting that he did not know anything. Gotcha. Sion spoke within himself as he finally answered the question that he wanted to hear. So think about it, Sion. We can conquer the world and become the top of the chain, Claire suddenly said, and Sion smirked again as he answered. Yeah. I will think about it, Sion replied, and he cut off their conversation. And at that moment, Claire thought that she won again. She curled the tip of her hair with her fingers while wearing the devil-like smile. However, Sion immediately traced the location and he could not believe on what he knew. The location of Claire was in the middle of the valley. There were no building there, even houses, and only a stone wall of the land barrier was there. And he thought that Claire was only betraying him again. He took his phone and tried to contact Andrasi. Andrasi. Can you please analyze this place? I was wondering if there a dean in this area, he said while he rubbing his forehead with his bare hands. Okay. But why you suddenly ask me to look for it? She asked while looking at the location that Sion sent at her. Just observe the place, Sion replied, and it made a little confusion to her. There is nothing wrong with this place. And why you suddenly want me to observe? It's too far from my pack and it surrounded small hills, Andrasi added while keeping her eyes at the photo. That location is the place where I traced Claire. She told me that she was there. That's why, I want you to observe the place to know if she telling the truth, Sion replied, and Andrasi widened her eyes after hearing that. Are you sure that Claire is still alive? Andrasi asked, wondering, and Sion took a deep sigh. Yeah. That's why. Please make it as soon as possible, Sion added, and Andrasi nodded her head. And after a few hours, She quickly prepared everything she needed to go to the place where Sion commanded her. She felt the strong forces around. And even the place was surrounded by the hills and stone wall. She could feel the heavy ambience that made her to shiver. Sion. I am here. I feel the strong force coming from the surrounding. Andrasi said, and she kept on hiding at the tall tree on the top of the hill where she could overview the location below. Yes, stay there. And please hide your smell first. Anyway, did you set secret camera in the tree nearby the stone wall? Sion asked, and Andrasi remembered the order of Sion. Oh me. I forget. Anyway, I will go there to put the camera. Andrasi replied, and she jumped from the tree to place the devices around. Shit. Why you forget about that? Sion asked as he slapped his forehead. Sorry. Andrasi felt the redness of her face as she replied. And she immediately took the way toward the tree. But when she was about to reach the foot of the hill, she heard the cars coming. She halted her steps and tried to hide on the tall grasses. She looked seriously, and Sion felt Andrasi's mood change. What's wrong? Sion asked, and Andrasi replied. There are 3 cars moving to the hill. She asked while she was hiding in the tall grass. Observe where they are going. Sion ordered her, and she kept on looking at the direction where the car's going to. Wait. They are going toward the stone wall, she whispered, and it made a knit on Sion's eyebrows. Just observe them. He kept on ordering Andrasi, and while he expecting better to the mission that he gave to Andrasi. Go. Andrasi. I hope that you will toast the cookies with me. Sion thought. Ting. After a moment of pause, he heard the notification bell of his phone, and he saw the secret video of the cars entering the stone wall after it opened widely. Gotcha. Sion happily said, and he sent the received video to Severus. After that, he ordered his men to go with him toward the location of Andrasi. And when he gathered his men, they hurriedly went to enemy's den, and he have his mind that they able to conquer the enemy. Thank you, Claire. Because of you I can have the power. Sorry if I tried to betray you. I love you, I know that you know that. Sion thought as he driving the car. Sion. Where are you? I need to get out of here. I think they notice. Andrasi hurriedly told to Sion what her problem. Shit. How it come? Sion asked, and Andrasi felt that she was melting on her position hearing that. Because I captured them with flash. Andrasi replied with a glimpse of shamed hat paint on her face at that moment. What the? Are you damn stupid? Wait for us. Sion snarled, and he drove the car faster than before. He did not know if he would felt anger or worried at the moment that he heard the stupidity that Andrasi did. Kring. Kring. Suddenly he received another call, and when he answered it. Sion. What the hell are you planning, huh? Claire asked while she was wondering about Sion's action. What are you talking about? What plan? Sion acted innocently as he asked. We caught Andrasi. And now, she is screaming wildly. Do you wanna hear? Claire said while she was in the corner of Trainer's Den. Sion suddenly hit the brake as he heard the loud scream of Andrasi shouting for help. He knew that it was really difficult for them to enter the den to rescue Andrasi. But he needed to act like he did not know why Andrasi was there. Sorry Claire, but even you kill that bitch. I don't know why she was there. Maybe because she followed Trainer Group, or maybe she planning something. Sion bravely replied, and it really convinced Claire, although she knew at herself that she talked Sion about the place. Claire. I know that you remember that you did not tell me where is your location, right? He added, and gives Claire the thought that Sion was telling the truth. Okay. Anyway, I have something to deal with, Claire said, and she ended the phone call. Sigh. Let's move. Sion hurriedly ordered his men after taking a deep breath. He did not know what should he do, but the thing that now embracing him was, Andrasi was in danger. At Trainer's Dean. Arg. Andrasi kept on snarling as she felt tight metal around her neck. She wanted to scream, but there was a clear glass tube that blocking her voice to hear. She was angrily glaring at Claire, who looked like a queen ordering some men to massage her feet. But even she knew who was Claire. She let her mouth shut up so she would never betray Sion's plan. But the pain that she received from fighting Trainer's men made her weak. That's why she was inside the tube glass waiting for her time to be an experiment. She tried to contact Sion, but it seemed like Sion was too far to receive her call. Her hands and feet were all handcuffed, and even a single move would kill her since they were all connected to the device that might be fell if she have a bad intent. She endured everything and wished that she did not capture the enemies. Andrasi, where are you? Suddenly, she heard the voice calling her. She was surprised because she never expected that Sion would come to rescue her in this very dangerous place. Hey! Where are you? Why you are not answering? Sion added while he knitted his eyebrows violently. So sorry, Sion. I am here in the den of the enemy. Inside the thick glass tube, and I can see everything. But later I heard that they will send me in the experimental room. Andrasi replied, and Sion was worried about that. Don't worry. We will arrive there in 10 minutes. Sion replied, but Andrasi seemed like a statue after she heard that. Sion. Don't come over there without any armies. The hills are now surrounded by the assassins that hiding around, and they are watching the surrounding. Since they captured me. Their armies are all horrible. And I know how strong they are. What the? So how can I help you? Anyway. Just wait us. I will tell Alejandro this. Sion replied, worrying. 2 hours later. The darkness that filled the entire place was been enlightened by the sharp red iris of the werewolves' eyes that waiting for their attack. They glaring at the direction where they could smell the enemy's hideout. All of them were all eager to attack to take revenge for the lives of their loved ones who sacrifices their lives. Sion and his men made their plan and hacked some devices that surrounded the top of the hill. They knew their steps, and while the other waiting around, they already made their plan. Alejandro's group were all ready, and they have their strongest men that left on the battle. And Andrasi's pack were also there. They were just a few in numbers. They wanted to become a part of this secret attack. Sion. They are going to get me here. Andrasi contacted Sion again, and it made Sion to fasten his movement. He called his men, and the darkness filled the entire village. But seemed like the enemies sensed their plan, and the sudden earthquake shook the entire village. What's that? Alejandro asked while his eyes wandering around. The enemies are coming. His wolf Gao replied, and Alejandro concentrated to what Gao feeling about the surrounding. And suddenly, the stone wall opened wide and the light escaped from the inside. The modified wolves came out with their numbers of men, which made the silent night become terrifying. Only the bright full moon suddenly appeared, seeming like it wanted to witness the upcoming terror of the night. And there was no time that Alejandro wasted after seeing the modified meat shield of Trainer facing their location. He signaled his men and the huge rocks rolled over the hill and it pointed the direction of the enemies. "Let's see how strong their muscle," he muttered, watching the rocks kept on rolling. Thud. The huge rocks created a boisterous sound as it reached the location of the enemies. The dust scattered and the area was unseen for a moment. That was their time to execute their another plan. They ran downward and attacked the modified wolves. All of them have their eagerness to kill the bastard. The sound of their teeth and fangs, even the pierced of their paw, were echoed. Alejandro did not waste his time and he attacked the remaining enemies that is left. He tried his best even for his smallest chance to defeat the modified wolf. All he thinking was to defeat at least the halves of those meat shields so they could enter the den to help Andrasi. And while they busy enough, Sion and his men find a way by tracing the wire and they saw a hole that exactly fitted their body. When he reached the end of the hole, he saw the glass tube that aligned perfectly. It contained the group of people who were captured in the battle at the Moonchaser Pack. "What the hell is this?" he muttered as he saw the liquid bubbling on their body. He looked around while waiting some of his men and he heard the familiar voice shouting, "Andrasi?" he added, and he quickly moved toward the corner of the wall and he saw Claire slapping Andrasi's face with her monstrous hand. "Claire? You bitch, still evil," he added, and his men came who also heard the growl of pity. "Andrasi, how dare you to spit me your gross saliva? You bitch!" Claire angrily shouted as she gave Andrasi again the big slam on her face. Arg! Andrasi endured the pain while Claire treated her as a toy dog. "Bring her in the laboratory. Turn her as a wild dog. Boo-wah-ha-ha." Claire ordered 3 modified men and they immediately grabbed Andrasi's slim body. "Where do you think you're going, huh?" Sion seriously said while he was glaring at Claire, who was surprised for his appearance. "Sion, I was really surprised that you came here. Anyway, don't mind this bitch. She is enemy," Claire innocently said. Andrasi was stunned hearing that. "Don't fool yourself. I'm here not because of your offer. I came here to get Andrasi's back," Sion bravely retorted, and Claire angrily glared at Andrasi. She could not believe that Sion would side at Hirre's party. "Are you out of your mind? I was powerful now. And they are just a mere dog for us. Don't think stupid, Sion," Claire retorted, but Sion shook his head. "You stupid. Attack them," Claire shouted, and the 3 men transformed as a modified grey wolf. They immediately attacked Sion and his men, but Sion did not let this happen. Even he did not transform as a werewolf. He used his combat skills and put something on the enemy's body who turned them numbed for a moment. "What the hell are you doing? Kill them," Claire shouted, but the werewolves suddenly felt numbed as they received what Sion gave to them. "Don't waste your time, Claire. They aren't moving for, I think, until they become useless," Sion said to Claire, who was angrily looking at her men who suddenly stopped attacking Sion's group. "What the hell are you doing, Sion? If you betray me, I will never love you back," Claire shouted, and Sion just smirked at her as he replied, "Don't care. I have my own. Come on, Andrasi. Let's get out of here," Sion added, and it made Andrasi to feel the beating of her heart, even her face have a deep wound. Sion held her hand and Claire felt the boiling of her blood seeing the 2 running away with their men. She pushed the red button on the wall and a loud sound echoed even in the outside. The monsters came out and Sion hurriedly protected Andrasi when there were few beasts came to attack them. "Go, Andrasi. Save yourself," Sion shouted, but Andrasi did not listen since her wound was closely to heal. She transformed as a wolf and fought the monsters. And after a while, Alejandro came to help them. The enemies were increasing in numbers every time the armies and assassins came to help. After 30 minutes and many dead bodies laid on the floor. Many of them were the fighters of Alejandro, Andrasi, and Sion. They could not bear the strength that the enemies shown to them. Andrasi, Alejandro and Sion were all trapped inside and they did not know how to escape since the enemies surrounded them. Their teeth were snapped as they saw their situation, but they could not move well. Even they fight at this moment was impossible to win. Boo-wah. The laughter suddenly echoed and it made the three to knit their eyebrows. They knew that voice and they could deny to themselves how terror was that man was. "Welcome my guests. Thank you for coming into your death," Trainer shouted while wearing a wide grin that turned into a devil-like laughter. Claire was standing beside him, who was looking down at the three, but there was something in her eyes that wanted to tell. And it was to save Alejandro. "Kill them," Trainer shouted, and it made Claire to widen her eyes. She wanted to stop the beast, but Trainer was ordered her not to act suspiciously. But when the beast were about to attack, everything that could be held by a hand in the den arose. "Stop it, Trainer." Hirre's voice echoed and it made everyone to feel surprised. And when they looked at the direction of the sound, they saw Hirre glaring at the location where was Trainer and Claire located. "I don't want to do this, but I ordered your wolf to die," Hirre added, but Trainer just laughed instead of being afraid. "Waha! Are you threatening me?" Trainer said, and he mocked Hirre's power. Thud. The objects fell on the floor and Hirre quickly moved toward the center. Her eyes were burning like flame and it was looking straight at Trainer. "Don't dare me," Hirre said, and another objects arose. Trainer turned taciturn as he saw the objects around. It was the syringe filled with secret antidote that might ruin the plan that he creates for decades. "Where the hell did you get that?" Trainer asked, stuttering. "It's not your business. And for your information, we surrounded your den and wrong move you do will destroy everything. I have my weapon, the real power and the true life. Surrender or else all of you will die," Hirre said, but Trainer did not accept the fact. He looked around uneasy and when he felt he was defeated, he held Claire's body and threw it away into the glass window in order to escape. "No!" Claire shouted, but it was too late. She became the sacrifice for Trainer. Claire's body hit the window and the glass was broken. And because she was just human, she faced death easily. But even it was Trainer way to escape. Severus captured him and tied up with silver chain. Hirre used her power to inject all the beast and they were suffered with paralyzed condition until they turned into a normal wolf again. Alejandro and Andrasi were very thankful as they saved by Hirre. And while the other clearing up the area, all of them were greeting each other and wanted to start a new life. King Severus Abram. "You may kiss the bride." The crowd were very happy seeing the king kissing the best bride ever in their history. And at that moment, Alejandro accepted the fact that his Luna was still not there to be part of his life. While Mr. Vermont crying heavily seeing his beloved daughter in this lovely situation. And even Hirre lost her best friend. Andrasi was there, who did not left her behind all the struggles and battles. And now, she was happy together with Sion, who deeply in love with her. And they were live in the peaceful pack that connected with each other. In tilde.